It's the analytics dilemma in the era of SAP S/4HANA. The reason, the name dilemma, that we added the dilemma for the title is deliberate because over the past several months, we have worked with many customers on the strategy and approach for analytics for their S/4HANA implementation. And we realized that there's a sense of confusion and lack of understanding on what S/4HANA means for analytics, or what the potential of S/4HANA with analytics. So the objective of this webinar is to provide a grounding on analytics for S/4HANA and highlight some key factors that you need to consider when you plan for an S/4HANA implementation, or if you're already on your S/4HANA journey. So that's the intent, mainly provide a grounding on S4 analytics for S/4HANA. So just to give a quick introduction, as I mentioned earlier, my name is Bantik Georgian, and I have over 24 years of experience in the analytics space. My current position at Arceus, I engage with our customers as an analytics advisor, helping our customers plan, deploy, and optimize business analytics investments. Some of the areas that I help our customers with is design of agile analytics platform, the EDW architecture, big data platform of SAP HANA, application of machine learning, cognitive computing to business analytics. And of late, of course, I've been working with customers on the analytics design for SAP S/4HANA. Really passionate about the potential of analytics in S/4HANA, potential to transform business processes, and really excited to present this webinar today. All right, so as an agenda, we'll kick off with what is the dilemma, or what are some of the key questions when it comes to analytics for S/4HANA. And then we will, get into more of what are some of the opportunities, key challenges on analytics on S/4HANA, and then really dive into what is fundamentally different with S/4HANA. Why is this dilemma, and what is fundamentally different? How analytics is fundamentally different with SAP S/4HANA? And then we'll talk about some of the key factors to consider when you're planning for an SAP S/4HANA implementation. Then we will do an overview of embedded analytics, S/4HANA embedded analytics, key features, and also review the high-level architecture for embedded analytics. And then we'll discuss the role of enterprise data warehouse, in relation to analytics for S/4HANA. And then we'll bring it all together, all this discussion together, on how do you consume analytics on SAP S/4HANA, the embedded analytics, BW for HANA, and everything, the BI tools. How does the big picture look like? And then we'll have a key takeaways towards the end, and we'll also share with you some of the upcoming webinars that we have. So this is, as I mentioned, it's just to provide a grounding, but we have more webinars that covers more detailed topics, and we'll talk about that also. And then towards the end, I hope that we can spend 10 to 15 minutes on a QA. If you have any questions, then we can cover that as well. Okay, so if you look at overall the evolution of reporting since the days of SAP ERP, the 1980s, 1996 was the era of SAP ERP, where organizations implemented SAP, where and the ERP system would have capture all the transactions, operational details, and that was a system that was used for real-time reporting, all kinds of reporting, historical, tactical reporting at that time. But the downside of that was that because the reporting had an impact on the actual ERP itself, and resulting in a capacity bottleneck, and that's what led to the the advent of BW or EDW, SAP BW. So in around 97, 2000 time, around that time, really you saw the adoption of BW go up. And in that scenario, the transactions will obviously be in SAP ERP, and a lot of the real-time reporting still existed in the ERP. But most of the tactical, strategic, historical analysis, planning functions moved to the BW space, and some operational reporting as well. But then again, there also we saw that BW had an issue with performance, increased complexity, and then delay in data loads. You can only load most typically once a day, so there's some issues with that. Then SAP came up with the BW accelerator to boost the performance. That helped with the performance a little bit. And then of course, SAP came with SAP HANA. That really helped with the performance of the reporting and overall analysis. Also provided more flexible real-time data acquisition, also more frequent data loads. And then came S4HANA. So with S4HANA, obviously it's a ERP system. It will have all the transactions and operations, but it's built on in-memory technology, as all of you are aware. And it comes with embedded analytics, which is pre-built analytics, and analytics content and analytics apps. And that really, added, real power to this analytical capabilities within ERP itself. Really providing, you can now provide contextualized information in context to a business process and role, real-time insights, and you can also design advanced analytics within SAP S4HANA. So that leads to the question then, of course, how do we leverage EDW? What happens to your existing reporting processes? Do we use embedded analytics for all analytics? What is the role of EDW? How does this impact existing BI landscape? And also, what is the methodology for designing analytics for S4HANA or embedded analytics? So that's what we will cover today in today's discussion, some of these topics actually. So revolving around these questions that you see here on the screen. So from our experience, what we have seen is most organizations that rely on traditional BI miss the mark when it comes to leveraging analytics in S4HANA. That's mainly because, again, as I mentioned earlier, lack of understanding on the opportunity and the key challenges. So one of the key opportunity with S4HANA is real-time contextualized analytics is now a reality. And I'll explain a little bit more on what do you mean by contextualized analytics. But in a nutshell, what it means is you provide insights that is specific to the role and the job function at that point of time, and immediate insight. And that's a real-time contextualized analytics. And we'll look at some examples of that. It comes with powerful inbuilt analytic capabilities to integrate analytics deeper within business applications and deliver contextualized insights. It's an enabler for incremental transition to smart and intelligent processes. And truly, analytics can be the crowning jewel of your S4HANA implementation, providing instant ROI for investment. So really an opportunity there. What are some of the key challenges that we see? To be truly transformational with your S4HANA, approach to analytics should be fundamentally different. And we'll talk about how different it should be. So current approach, typical approach that is used is more on the reporting methodology. You have a business process, then we talk about what are some of the reports that support that business process or those set of users. And that is what is fundamentally changing. So there's a need to rethink analytics processes and develop new approach that is aligned with capabilities of SAP S4HANA. And all this could have an impact on the existing analytics landscape, including EDW and BI tools, and what is the function of EDW, what type of BI tools you could use, and also the existing BI analytics processes and organizations could be barriers to true transformation. So these are some of the challenges that typically we see organization face when it comes to implementing analytics on S/4HANA. Now, what are some of the factors to consider when it comes to S/4HANA? So when you're planning for your S/4HANA implementation, or even already started on your S/4HANA implementation, some of the questions that comes up would be from the roadmap perspective. What would be my future analytics roadmap would be in the era of S/4HANA? How do we get started on this S/4HANA analytics? How do we do our operational analytics? Where do we do our operational analytics versus strategic enterprise analytics? Should we migrate all our analytics to S/4HANA analytics? Should we migrate all our operational analytics to S/4HANA? How about our tactical reporting and analytics? So those are some of the questions from the roadmap perspective. And then from an impact to existing analytics landscape, how does it impact our existing landscape? What is the role of HANA EDW? What happens to my SAP BW investments? How will the S/4HANA and embedded analytics integrate with the other analytics processes and tools? If you have existing analytics tools, and how will this integrate there? Those are some of the questions from an impact perspective. And then from a business process perspective, some of the questions that factors need to consider is how can analytics drive smart and intelligent business process? And those of you following SAP's roadmap or journey in some of the conferences, the last conference, Tech, it was all, even Sapphire, it was all about intelligent enterprise. And S/4HANA is the core, the core of that intelligent enterprise. And the way to get to an intelligent enterprise is by driving more smart and intelligent business process. So how can analytics help in that process? How do we leverage S/4HANA embedded analytics to drive contextualized real-time insights? And how do end users consume analytics in S/4HANA? So those are some of the key factors to consider when you start thinking about implementing S/4HANA. Now moving on, now to talk about how analytics is fundamentally different with SAP S/4HANA. So all of you would be familiar with this process where you have a systems of record, your ERP, CRM, SRM, and then you go through an ETL processing, batch processing, and load the data into systems of decision, a BW or a data warehouse. And then another maybe even within that data warehouse and the data lake or another, that's where you do an ETL again or a virtual data, access to do more further advanced analytics. So what happens in this journey is that insight delivery takes hours or days. And this is what the typical BI journey or process looks like. So what is changing with SAP S/4HANA is this, right? So thinking from a business process perspective, in this process, you have a process for a sales order, a transaction. So when the account executive is entering the order, sales order, at the time of that process itself, providing the ability to analyze, check latest customer order and pricing, being able to predict customer churn probability, and then transact at the same time and finalize. So instant delivery of insight, business action happens in seconds. So that's a change. That's what is changing fundamentally. And this is what the S/4HANA can provide, potential of S/4HANA from analytics perspective. So now you can imagine how things, it's a fundamental difference on how you look at reporting or analytics, because we are all tuned to a world. Even the business users, business processes are tuned to a scenario where you will get your reports later or some other time, or log into some other system, or even change your screen to execute a report. So that's how we are all tuned to. Now we are talking about a scenario where as you do a transaction, you're able to analyze, predict, complete your transaction. So that requires a this type of approach requires a totally different outlook and approach, and we'll talk more about that. So what is the new digital ERP? It's an analytics-driven, contextual, and forward-looking. To be truly transformational, you have to push the decision-making to the front lines. As I mentioned, that is the contextualized information I was referring to here. So when you do your entry order, you need contextualized information real time, which is information on the latest customer order based upon the role. And that's the key thing. Push the decision making to the front lines, ability to respond in real time to any situation, uncovering pattern, insights from data, making problem solving recommendations, and also providing strategic and advanced analytics to harness data, generate new insights, diagnose and predict and prescribe. You can leverage the SAP S4HANA machine learning or SAP HANA's machine learning services or SAP Leonardo machine learning. And that's kind of how a new digital ERP, analytics-driven, the characteristics of a analytics-driven new digital ERP would look like. Now, what is analytics in S4HANA? When you talk about analytics in S4HANA, embedded analytics is a key functionality. Embedded analytics is a concept. It's a concept because it's a different concept, right? So that's why it's a concept. It also has content. So SAP has provided content, a business content that's available out of the box that we can use and then extend, and also a set of tools that's available. So it's a concept, content, and tools. It's a collection of analytical features and a set of content delivered to drive real-time insights from the data without detailed knowledge of underlying data structure. So ability to drill down to line item level, flexible ad hoc exploration capabilities, and real-time KPI monitoring. And then one user experience, SAP Fiori for both transactions and analytics, running in a single application and relying on a single source of truth. Interactive self-guided navigation and tools. As I mentioned, it comes with the tools that enable business analysts to configure own reports. So it's not just the analytics analyst, but also the business analytics. So to do self-serve, actually, to configure their own reports and KPIs without involving IT. And also, it also provides integration with SAP analytics products and third-party tools, whether it is Analytics Cloud, SAP Business Objects tools, third-party tools such as Tableau, Spotfire, and so forth. And then, as I mentioned earlier, SAP has come up with the content, Fiori apps. There are thousands of Fiori apps specific to business process and specific to the roles available already, and SAP is continuing to add to that. And then there's also business content on embedded analytics available on SAP Analytics Cloud and Digital Boardroom as well. So some of the key features of embedded analytics is you're able to transact and analyze in one place and in real time, delivering instant insights on live data. Then you have built-in analytics on the same technical stack, embedded in business process, as we talked about before, improved overall process efficiency. It enables closing the gap between insights and actions. So no ETL or batch processing is required as compared to other traditional BI landscapes. Then SAP Fiori experience, so improved user experience there. And then, as I mentioned earlier, SAP delivered business contents and scenarios that are continuously enhanced. For non-operational historical insights, you can use BW for HANA or other analytical methods, other EDWs or other methods for your analytical needs. So we discussed how the analytics with S4HANA is fundamentally different. So obviously, you need to examine what is the design approach for analytics for S4HANA. Will the old method or our current method, would that be enough, or do we need a different type of approach for design? Okay, when you do your business requirements gathering with the business and designing the analytics, what is the process that you would follow? So currently, any project broadly, this is what we see for reporting design, reporting and analytics design. Typically, what I've seen is major ERP projects, the reporting requirements discussions are scheduled separately from the process area. So it involves getting a list of current report samples, then we discuss the requirements, reviews the current KPIs, measures, data elements, and then there's a rationalization process. We're rationalizing the reports, combining reports, and optimizing that and finalizing use cases. And then design reports to support existing business processes. Transactions reporting are typically separate processes, mostly different in different landscape. We decide whether to do some of this report in SAP or some in BW or SAP HANA or some other system. This is the typical. Obviously, there are different variations of this. At a broad level, this is the current process actually. But as I mentioned earlier, analytics in S/4HANA requires a fundamentally different approach itself. So analytics, most main difference is that the analytics and reporting should be embedded within the process area work session. That is the key thing. So when you start with your S/4HANA implementation, start your design discussions on the process area, business process, analytics should be part of that conversation because of this, right? Because it's a three-step process for defining the requirements for analytics in S/4HANA. Understanding the business process and what decisions need to be made in support of that process and what insights needed to drive those decisions. So it's a three-step process actually. So what is the business process, what decisions need to support the business process, and what insights need to drive so this type of discussion can only happen during the design of the business process itself. That's why the analytics team members should be part of that discussion and drive it from that perspective. That's the only way you can, gather the right requirements and truly be transformational. And then design operation analytics use cases based on the embedded analytics paradigm. And then, obviously at that point, there'll be some of the reports or analytics requirements may not be contextualized in real time, which would be a use case for BW, for HANA or HANA EDW. And that's a determination we make at that point of time. And then most important, current reports and reporting practices are typically not considered for requirement gatherings or design because we're talking about transformation, right? A new way of doing, conducting, looking at analytics or in data. So that is why current reports and reporting practices are not considered, typically not considered. So that's the difference in approach when it comes to designing analytics for S/4HANA. And that's what we strongly recommend this approach, because if you go down on the left-hand side of the reporting design process, if you look at this, what you'll be doing is you'll have S/4HANA with all these capabilities, but then you're doing exactly the same what you did even with a regular SAP ERP or any ERP. So you're truly not being transformational with your approach in that case. And then what you would end up doing if you look at SAP's roadmap or any other ERP, any other software company roadmap, it's all about intelligent enterprise, smart and intelligent processes. All that involves embedding insights within business processes. So by doing this, going down this path of embedded analytics, you're actually a stepping stone for embedding machine learning or predictive analytics and more advanced analytics within S/4HANA, within your business process. But if you go down that path, the current path of reporting, then it becomes even more difficult to leverage advanced analytics also in support of your business process. Some examples of how you would design the embedded analytics, there are three questions typically that needs to be asked. What decisions are made in support of the business, what insights are needed to make effective decisions, and who makes those decisions. So that's what you see on the left-hand side here. You have the business process, role, decisions, and then insights process, a trader will ask, okay, what is the optimal price and quantity to trade? And then providing insights that answer that question. So that's just some examples of contextualized and personalized insights. Basically, again, going back to the business process and the role and what decisions are made. So that's the kind of discussions that need to have during the actual design process. When you start with your S/4HANA implementation, your process area discussion, these are the discussions that needs to be had. And currently, what would you see is all this would be separate reports or part of reports, and that's what we are trying to move away from. This is another example of, I touched upon it earlier, where you enter a sales account, a sales order. At that time, you need to look at the warehouse with close availability, project customer run rate, identify cross-sell, upsell opportunities, and leveraging these insights, then complete sales order, all in one screen, resulting in faster customer delivery and large average deal size and fewer warehouse stock out. And this can be applied to procurement processes, sales processes, manufacturing process, any processes actually. Again, delivering contextualized real-time insights at the point of decision. So I'm going to show just to, highlight or re-emphasize this embedded analytics concept. I'm going to show some screenshots from SAP. These are all from sources from SAP, next few slides. So this is an example of how you can consume embedded insights in S/4HANA. You see a Fury screen here where you have your transactions here, your fulfillment, sales order fulfillment, but along with that, all the KPIs that you need to drive that business process. And also some reports. You can actually embed your reports also here. And then also you can create KPIs, your own KPI. This is more for the business user within this screen itself. So it provides a one point of entry where you have your transactions and your insights that drives that business process all, and even some of the reports. And reports are not going to go away. So obviously, that also is a part of the whole analytics, scope. And you include the reports also, if any reports are needed also within the Fury screen. So and also obviously I'm not going to all the details here. You can include news and other tiles, anything that you need, other themes, they're based on your themes, a typical Fury screen. Now I'm going to go a little bit, show talk about the architecture of embedded analytics. So you have your database. This is an S/4HANA system where you have your S4 database tables. And then SAP has come up with, I'm sure most of you would be familiar with this, the CDS model, which is more a modeling framework on the above stack that SAP has provided for SAP, with S/4HANA. And actually it works for Oracle and other systems as well, other databases as well, mainly for analytical purposes. And then you can, the BI tools those CDS views can be exposed via OData services or transient analytical queries. And then the OData services can be used by SAP Fury for the KPIs and analytical apps. And then the SAP analytics products can leverage the transient analytical queries for SAP Business Objects tools and Analytics Cloud can leverage these analytical queries for inclusion in their reports. So it can be the CDS views, the embedded analytics piece that you have can be consumed within just S/4HANA, within the S/4HANA stack itself using Fury, but it can also consumed by other analytics products, SAP products, as well as third-party products. This is just another example of how you can embed transactions, embedded analytics, hybrid and strategic analytics into one screen. You have your transactions here, where creating purchase requisitions and managing purchase requisitions. But then you will need to see some KPIs in support of that. That's also you can include when you click on this, then you can drill down into the more details. And then what you see here on the right-hand side is a spend analysis report itself. So you can include the report also. Where you click on it, it launches the report. So all within one screen. So that's just an overview of the embedded analytics functionality. And then obviously the first question or the second question we get is, okay, then do I really need my BW or EDW S4HANA? If S4HANA can do all this, it's all in memory, the performance is fast, I don't need ETL, then why do I need EDW? And where do I need EDW? So that's a logical question that customers ask us. So let's address that point, right? So let's take a step back and see what is the function of an enterprise data warehouse. First and foremost, and this hasn't changed over the years, right? EDW has evolved, but this has been consistent. This is consolidation, harmonization of data. That has been consistent all along. So defining common semantics, consolidating, harmonizing data from diverse data sources. So S4HANA is not the right system to harmonize data from diverse sources of data. It can obviously connect to different data sources, pull data even virtually as well, but not recommended to use that from an overall analytics and reporting perspective. So definitely, if you're a large organization with multiple data sets, data sources, diverse data sources, then you will need an EDW to consolidate and harmonize data. Then address some constraints of the ERP reporting. So ERP S4HANA, although it is in memory, we should be using that for complex analytical tasks, which is if you have, say, predictive analytics for, with historical data, you don't want to, or complex algorithms, you don't want those things to run on the S4HANA platform. So that's another factor to consider. And then also data temperature management. As for, BW and EDW like BW4 offers really very good, solid features when it comes to data temperature management, so that you can manage the cost of your data. So you can pull in all the historical data into BW4 system like BW4 HANA, and then use this, data temperature management to move the data to warm, cold storage. So that's another function of the EDW. And support for big data and advanced analytics. I touched upon that earlier. The nature of analytics has changed, right? It's not just about reporting. It's about IoT, connecting with unstructured data, streaming data, market data, and then modeling of complex advanced analytics scenarios. And then support for managed self-service consumption of data. So if you want to truly roll out self-service to the business and allow business to have more flexibility to create objects and artifacts within the system, then you don't do that you typically don't recommend it not to do that in S4HANA system, because that's a transaction system. So then EDW would be a right choice for that, which can give business users some flexibility to manage their own, analytics processes or artifacts. So those are some of the functions of EDW when it comes to S4HANA. So then how do you then separate out your operational, real-time, contextualized analytics and design this overall analytics platform for operational and strategic analytics? So you'll start with obviously your S4HANA. As we talked about, we have the embedded analytics functionality that will drive all the real-time operational reporting, instant insight to action, any use case that requires contextualized insights, transactions, analytics, advanced analytics in one view, that will come out of that space. And then typically your user interface would be SAP Fiori UI, analysis for Office, analytics cloud, and then of course third-party BI tools as well. I forgot to mention that there, but any third-party BI tools as well. And then you have your EDW here, BW for HANA, where you will do your non-real-time scenarios. You need to integrate business application, transforming data, and then very tightly, in this case, BW for HANA is very tightly integrated to S4 HANA, where you can do more of your historical trending, ad hoc, and stewardship reporting. The user BI tools that you would use would be the Analytics Cloud, Analysis for Office, all the business object tools, and the third-party BI tools as well. And that leaves, and then of course you have other data sources, data lakes, SAP, non-SAP data, social media, and so forth. And that both those data would typically be leveraged to do more of the enterprise or analytics or strategic analytics, your diagnostic, predictive, prescriptive analytics, big data scenarios, Internet of Things. And that's what would be driven through by the EDW platform or other data lakes like Azure or, other data lakes. So, but what this shows is, this picture shows is that you have your SAP analytics, which is primarily based on SAP. The real-time operational reporting should come out of the embedded analytics. All of them, should come out of the S4 HANA. Non-real-time scenarios, and where you need to now, primary source of data is SAP, but you need to add some data from other non-SAP sources. You need the ability to transform data. That's what would come out of the BW4 scenario. But it's primarily driven by SAP data. And that's what I would call is a unified analytics platform where you combine, and it's technically possible to make it really unified and seamless to the user, whether it is embedded analytics or BW4 HANA. We'll talk about that in a minute. So, and then of course your more advanced use cases where you need lots of data, big data scenarios and IoT scenarios, that might need a different approach, whether it is, and obviously BW for HANA or SAP HANA, EDW are good candidates, but you could consider other systems or applications as cloud-based, Azure or AWS or anything else that you may want to consider. So that's how you would, plot your overall design of high-level design of analytics. Now this, what you see here, I've tried to represent that this in an architecture diagram. So what you see here is the S4 HANA system where you have your virtual data models, all your transactions, your financial scheduling, all your sales data, goods data, all your purchasing, all that physical tables will be represented in virtual data models called CDS views. And that can be used for the analytical purposes. So you have all these tools that you see here on top, which is part of the S4 HANA suite. Analytical list space, smart KPIs, analytical Fury apps, all this SAP Fury KPI modeler. These are different tools available that go on top of embedded analytics that enable the analytics programmer or analytics analyst and also the business analyst to create their own artifacts actually on embedded analytics. And then, of course, you have your BW for HANA system here, where you have the option of, virtually accessing the data in S4 HANA or copy the data. Now, all the CDS views, most of it are exposed to BW for HANA as an extractor that you can pull into BW for HANA. So if you extend a CDS view here or you create your own CDS view, that is available for BW for HANA as well. So that's how it becomes a unified analytics platform. And then you have your business objects platform, your analytics cloud, and third-party tools here on top of it. And all this can be brought together using the analytics hub, as a catalog of all the reports to help all users search for and launch analytics of any type. And then you see the extended storage, your data temperature management here for more archiving of data and corporate memory. And then with BW for HANA, you can connect to non-SAP applications using the smart data integrator that provides virtual data access. So what you see here is with the the S/4HANA embedded analytics doesn't exist on its own, but it has powerful capabilities for analytics, but it also integrates seamlessly with the EDW such as BW for HANA, other BI tools, and then provides a 360-degree view of the enterprise, ability to see a 360-degree view of the enterprise. Okay, so some key takeaways, that's all I had as a content. So let's look at some key takeaways. First and foremost, deliver embedded is when you look at S/4HANA, I think the key thing is to look at delivering embedded insights for operational processes by leveraging the powerful inbuilt capabilities. And that is the key thing. And that once you start looking at embedded insights and contextualized insights, that will drive the change in approach and change in the thought process itself, because that's the first foremost, that is the realization. Moving away from reporting to contextualized insights and integrating analytics deeper within the business application. Do not recreate existing process or reports and miss out on the opportunity to drive a change in behavior on how data and analytics is consumed. And that's the key thing, right? So it's not an easy thing to accomplish actually, because you have a business community where they're used to reports arriving on time or delivered on time or consuming out of system. Now you're telling them there'll be no reports, but you will deliver insights. And there's a change management aspect there, helping them understand the value, creating some proof of concept, or explaining to them what that means. There'll be obviously pushback and on this approach, but that's a change management process, right? That needs to be done ahead of time. Otherwise, you start an S/4HANA implementation, you'll be under a time crunch. The easiest thing to do is to recreate the existing processes, reports, and business at that time would be happy because you're getting faster reports. You'll still get your reports, but you're not driving, you're not transforming your business process in that approach, and not driving the change in behavior. And then it becomes even more difficult down the road. So there's a need, we talked about this, there's a need for rethinking analytics process, develop new approach to analytics that is aligned with capabilities of S/4HANA, and then design approach itself for analytics is fundamentally different, with a focus on decisions made in support of business process. Insights need to drive the decisions. So I can't emphasize this enough, but it's a different design approach itself. So as a project team, you need to think through how do we plan for your design sessions and so forth with this difference in approach. Then opt for all operational tactical that do not require consolidation organization. S/4HANA analytics could be a right choice. Broadly, I could say that, but obviously there could be some exceptions here and there. But broadly, for all operational tactical analytics, S/4HANA analytics could be the right choice. And then S/4HANA analytics is not the ideal place for data warehousing functionality. An EDW platform is required for most large corporations. And then finally, embedding insights within the business process enables incremental transition to smart and intelligent process. As I mentioned earlier, if you don't start going down this path of embedding insights within business process, you will not be able to go down add machine learning or predictive analytics or any other advanced analytics within the business process. It will always be a disjointed process, reporting and transactions and analytics. It has to be one process. It has to be a business process, and that's a chain that needs to be made actually in approach. As I mentioned earlier, this is kind of a high-level webinar that we started, but we'll be getting more details of some of the other topics that we discussed today, including the technical aspects of implementing embedded analytics, unified analytics on BW for S/4HANA, the overall methodology for embedded analytics implementation that will go into the detail of the design approach itself, best practices for ABAP core data services, then embedding machine learning in SAP S/4HANA. So at this point, I will open it up for questions. I think, Jennifer, how do you want to do this?
Yeah, thanks, Buntik, and wanted to thank everyone again for attending. We hope you found the webinar helpful. I think at this time, I believe all the lines are unmuted and open for questions. There is also a chat window that if you guys prefer to type and ask your questions, that works too. I do believe that we did get some questions during the in the midst of the webinar. So if it works for everyone, I think what we'll do is anyone who has any questions, we can go ahead and ask those now, and then Buntik will begin to answer the ones that we received during the webinar, and then any that you guys type as they come in, he can answer those as well. So I believe the lines are open now, so feel free to ask anybody.
Yeah, maybe I'll respond to some of the questions already in the chat window. That okay, Jennifer? So one of the
that works great.
On one of the questions was on the slide design approach for analytics. As I have moved to this one, what was your experience or rather challenges in convincing the project team to adopt the new approach? Adopt the new approach to design and including analytics design in the process area. And that's a good question. That's the biggest challenge, moving away from this process, because the project team would be in a crunch situation and would want to just get the process area design done, business process design done. So it's difficult to interject, have discussion around analytics and insights at that point. I think that's why this has to be done before during the planning stage itself, emphasizing, educating everyone, a lot of orientation and education that this is the new approach and this is what is needed. And to answer your question on my experience, been mixed actually. A lot of customers have missed the bus already, going down this path on the left-hand side, just continuing with the reporting methodology and missing the bus. And I feel bad about it, because I think as they start implementing this S4 and going down this path, and then in few years' time, they will realize that they should have done this way, then there'll be another optimization project or transformation project, whereas they could have done that early, during the time of the S4HANA implementation itself. So that's my perspective on that. The next question there is what are the architectural components of embedded analytics? How does it differ from HANA Live? So that one, let me see if I can go to the slide here. The architectural components of it is basically the in-memory database, the modeling framework with CDS views, the access or data services, and the Fury visualization. These are the architectural components of embedded analytics actually. So you have the table, the physical tables in the in-memory platform, then you have your modeling framework with CDS, very powerful modeling framework with ABAP core data services, allows you to create views, program in the view, write SQL, and then really create your own business definitions and so forth. And then the access, allowing for OData service access and transient analytics provider. So those are, and how does it differ from HANA Live? So the HANA Live that came out earlier with ECC on HANA, that was more the calculation, the views on HANA, views on the table itself. It didn't include the CDS models or anything. So basically it was a typical SAP HANA implementation where you would create a HANA view, calculation view on top of the SAP HANA tables, and then use that, consume that for your analytics analytics services, analytics processes. But in this case, it's vastly different here. There's an ABAP CDS layer that provides for, you can use the same security model that you have in your ERP system. You can extend that to the CDS models And then it actually is much more flexible in terms of modeling, actually, the CDS view, very powerful as well. So it's vastly different. And then SAP strongly recommends using the embedded analytics framework and not the HANA Live for S4. So another question that I see is here, can we leverage the CDS view in a CDS view that is created in embedded analytics in BW for HANA? Yes, absolutely. I think I did touch upon that. So the CDS views that are created here can be exposed to BW for HANA, either to persist data or as a virtual access. So if you can actually use a OpenODS view to access the CDS view virtually, or you can actually do a data copy using an extractor, SAP delivered extractor, load data into your ADSO, and then create a composite provider on top of it. I think that's all the questions I had. Let me check. Any questions on the phone or any other questions on the chat?
Not seeing any questions on the chat. Are you seeing any more, Buntik?
No. Yeah, let me see.
Okay.
One coming up. Okay, the question is, can we do real-time reporting in BW for HANA? Okay, that's again a great question, actually. Absolutely, yes, you can do. That's why it gets a little confusing. If you can do real-time reporting in BW for HANA, it's basically you can do real-time updates using SLT. So if I may change this here, you can actually, using SLT, you can actually write as soon as the transactions are logged in here in your S4 system, the SLT will pick up that and update BW for HANA directly at that time. And then that allows for your, for real-time reporting. And that can be with your SAP, not even S4 HANA, ECC on HANA or ECC system. So that's really a powerful feature, actually, with SLT for BW for HANA. You can actually get the real-time updates from, and that's how with customers who are implementing BW for HANA, they mostly go for the SLT replication, real-time replication, mostly for the finance and operational report, operational data. So that you can do that. So that's one way. And then, of course, there is, as I mentioned earlier, you can actually do another option here is to do, if you don't want to bring the data in here, you can virtually, if it's an S4 HANA system, you can actually virtually access the data CDS view here through the OpenODS view, and then it's available real time for reporting as well. It's a great question. So SAP IP, the question is SAP IP. So for S4 HANA, it's basically the planning functionality is supported by BPC, where you can have the integrated planning within the BPC, but not separately as an integrated planning. So the question was whether SAP integrated planning is supported in S4 HANA. The planning is supported through the BPC framework, BPC function. So the question, there are a couple of questions here. What methods can be used to extract CDS view data to a non-BW for HANA? Did you say that SLT could be used to do that? Now that if it's a non-BW for HANA system, you could actually, you have options of, you have the options of using the data models itself, the tables. You can actually extract the tables, and then you have to use your own, depending upon what systems you use. So if it's you can definitely use SLT as well, but it depends upon what systems you have. You may have to actually take the data and write it to CDS view, write it to some other system and upload it. But doesn't work the same way as with a in a seamless way as with the BW for HANA system, or even SAP HANA ETW as well. Another question is, can we create calculation analytics view on top of this? I didn't understand analytics view on top of. Yeah, I didn't understand. It's yeah, I think you can still create your calculation analytic views as well. There's no restrictions on that. So another question is, when we go to BPC for IP, do we have same planning functions as BWIP, or else do we have BW specific functions? So, you know, so to be honest, I'm not a BPC expert, but I think you have almost all the functions that you have with BWIP with the BPC for IP as well. But of course, I think, you know, that's something that you need to check with a BPC expert. But you should have those lot of the functions that you know, that's available with IP, available for with BPC for IP as well. Anything else? I think that's, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all the questions I'm seeing in the chat window. Any questions, anybody?
Yeah, if not, then thank you, everyone. Really appreciate your time, and be on the lookout for the next set of webinars that we will be launching for on this, some of these topics. And you know, if you would like us to present on any other topics that you're interested in, that's, you know, or you know, just provide us feedback, and definitely we'll, you know, consider that. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time, everyone. Hope to see you at the next webinars. Bye-bye.
Thank you.